this is John for MTG Next, coming at you with another Learning to Play Best of 3 Historic. This is Rakdos Sacrifice by Simone Nielsen, a deck that he used to go to the championship, I believe. He qualified for day 2 of Kaldheim by going, I think, 6-2. This is a deck very similar to the Jund version, except we're not running Collected Company. There are really 3 versions of Sacrifice. You have the Collected Company version of Jund Sacrifice that we ran. There is a version that runs Trail of Crumbs. It's more of a mid-range kind of accrue value deck. And then you have this Rakdos version, which is a little bit more aggressive, using things like Dreadhorde Butcher and Scrapheap Scrounger to add pressure in addition to our sacrifice engines. Obviously you have, your usuals, the Cauldron Familiars, the Priest of Forgotten Gods, Mayhem Devil, Woe Strider, Midnight Reaper. But in addition to that package, you also have Dreadhorde Butcher, which has the unique ability in this deck of having haste. Allows you to come down and start applying pressure to your opponent's planeswalkers. You can sacrifice it to dome them, dome a planeswalker, kill a creature, etc. Especially when you have so many sacrifice outlets like Witch's Oven, Priest of the Forgotten Gods, and Woe Strider. Beyond that, the only interaction in the main deck obviously is Claim the Firstborn and your ability to edict your opponent with Priest of the Forgotten Gods, and also ping things down with Mayhem Devil. So no removal spells in the main deck, but still some amount of interaction while you're trying to execute your primary game plan. Obviously, Cauldron Familiar, Witch's Oven. Anybody who's played with or against this archetype is well aware of the potency of that. Cauldron Familiar, getting food tokens, bringing it back. Triggering your Mayhem Devils, triggering your Midnight Reapers, just accruing value that way. A couple copies of Stitcher Supplier to kind of fill the graveyard. But you don't have a ton of graveyard synergies. You basically have Cauldron Familiar and Woe Strider as the main things you are able to get back from the graveyard, as well as Scrapheap Scrounger. So you do have some amount of graveyard synergies. And then as far as land base, you have a couple Phyrexian Towers to accelerate you into your 3-mana plays, a couple Castle Locthwains, draw you cards in the mid to late game. Canyon Slough here is kind of an ETB tap land, but also has the ability to cycle in the mid to late game. And, just your fairly common 2-color mana base. Sideboard, you have Thoughtseizes to interact with combo or control. Some removal spells, different variations of removal spells depending on what you're trying to tailor against, whether you're worried about Grafdigger's Cage, whether you're worried about your opponent's creatures or planeswalkers. Witch's Vengeance, primarily here for goblins, although any type of tribal deck really. Act of Treason as another steal effect in addition to Claim the Firstborn. This one's not restricted by mana. Angrath is a pretty good mid-range killer card. And then Sky Sovereign, obviously really good in the creature matchups. The one huge difference with these matches is I'll actually have a sideboard guide that Simone put up on Twitter, which is going to be extremely helpful to someone who's primarily been playing Best of 1 in Historic. So hopefully we'll do well, and let's get into some matches. Back here for match number 1. Obviously no lands, have to mulligan this hand. I think the mana is still too awkward with this hand. I think we have to mulligan. So looking at our 5, and it's still pretty awkward. So what 5 am I keeping here? This is the 5 we're keeping. I think this is the 5 we're keeping. Probably have Tower come in last. It's the one. Immediately get Thoughtseized. Probably take Woe Strider here. Yep. Dreadhorde Butcher is not a terrible one. Probably up against one of Black Gates, or I have no idea what's going on. Play Locthwain, play Cauldron Familiar. This allows us to block if our opponent doesn't somehow have a removal spell here. That seemed like a poor attack. Just want a black aggro of some kind. Kind of hard to say with Spartan Mayhem who's going to win this race. Probably them. Okay, so you're saying they're dead. Gotcha. Alright, mono black aggro. Pretty sure that's not on the sideboard guide list. Definitely not. So, if we presume they're kind of like that, but also kind of not. Boards out, Scroungers, Midnight Reapers, and Suppliers. Obviously, your life total is under a little bit of pressure from them. Brings in Thoughtseizes, which is Vengeances and Abrades. I think we're more interested in like Heartless Act, Abrade, probably Sky Sovereign. Or is that too slow in a matchup like this? Problem is their creatures are spread out over such a wide variety. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. Bring the Act of Treason, bring the Sky Sovereign. Hands, once again, a bit awkward with the mana, but I do think, you know, just fetching a swamp on one and then playing a priest out, although it'll probably die. Yep, Thoughtseize, probably take one, kill the other. us here, holding up Heartless Act. No back half for you. Also just a double spell, which is nice. Curious what they do here. End of turn. Yep, Heartless Riders get significantly worse against the Sacrifice deck, just saying. Sure. Yeah, Murderous Rider is not the best removal spell against Sacrifice decks, just saying, or adventure creatures in general. Bone Crusher Giants, etc. Back 4. Match number 2. 5 lands just feels like too much. And again, awkward mana, I still think we keep. Question is, what are we pitching here? Gobos, huh? Alright. So we could easily get turn 3 Muxus here. Not really much we can do about it with this game. The way our hands played out. Okay, it's looking like turn 4 Muxus. Sacrifice these two guys, play your Noxious. Yep. Sure. He is dead. GG. Alright, so against Gavos, Scroungers go out. Midnight Reaper and Suppliers. Bring in Thoughtseizes, Abrades, and where's the Witch's Vengeance? Where? Me here? Did I not bring in Vengeance? Well, apparently I did not complete the sideboard quest. Well. Weird. How did I download the deck list and not get Witch's Vengeance? Well, that's awkward. Hand's reasonable enough, I suppose. Cat beat down. Activate Kitty Cat. And would be great. Untap land specifically. Or not. Not using their going to sacrifice the cat to get a food token, but I'm not going to bring it back because we can't really attack anyway. And I want to be able to trigger Mayhem Devil if we draw another land. Attack's relatively free the way things are set up. Yeah, it's fine. Scan, really would like to draw an untapped land, build a machine gun their stuff down. Sure. Yep. I'm gonna need to get a little bit lucky here. Okay, play that. Dome something for 2. Still pretty much die. So, yeah. Definitely need the Witch's Vengeance in my sideboard. How did that escape the sideboard? No? Was that just not showing up during sideboarding, or was I skipping it somehow? Bizarre. Alright, we're back for match number 3. Still really weird that we didn't see Witch's Vengeance. Man, the mana is being really, really wonky today. Get rid of Mayhem Devil and Claim the Firstborn, I guess. Try to keep this particular 3 lands and that. Jegantha leading on. Okay, so maybe. Yeah, we're in a lot of trouble here. Against Paradox Engine, looks like. Turn has 2 cards in hand. blocks. Unfortunately, this being red-black, can't cast it off of Priest. Keenan, sure. There we go. Emery, sure. Alright, another Emery is very obnoxious. Okay. Don't even give the opportunity to use that. It's kind of obnoxious. Alright. So, currently, Night Reaper, one Cauldron Familiar, one Scrounger, and one Castle. Okay. Why is Witch's Vengeance not showing up? One, two, three. Heartless Act. That is really bizarre. I wonder. Oh, that's why. Okay. Good to know. Kind of obnoxious, but good to know. So it exists. You just have to remove your companion first. Kind of a clunky part of the interface. One lander can't keep. No lander. Keep this hand. Putting back. Tower. See if we can have a Keenan or some other key part. Lionstone, Uro, and Karn. I'll take the payoff. Curious why they would play the card one of the cards we don't know about. Not wasting Heartless Act on mana because they already have Mind Stone and lands, so we're not going to be able to stop their mana situation anyway. I'd rather not put additional cards in the graveyard for Uro. Claim the Firstborn, while a reasonable card here is just kind of that's annoying. sacrifice this to scry, probably more valuable than... Yeah, we'll keep a Thoughtseize on top. Bottom that Thoughtseize that we no longer need. Definitely don't want a tower. Okay. What do you need that much mana for? Oh, delightful. I think we can probably safely go to the next game. Though I do want to see what they might have brought in or such. Okay. I really just wish they'd just let me auto pass here. I think we'll just skip it up. It's a pretty good idea we're dead. So yeah, side tip, if you want to get access to your double mana cards, you gotta remove Jegantha, and then all of a sudden Witch's Vengeance appears. So dumb. And it seems perfectly reasonable. Get red source on one, Dreadhorde Butchers. Like, not the most disruptive hand, but it is one of our more aggressive hands. Let's fetch the red. I'm gonna say no dork on one. Okay, Keenan. Yep, Emery. Guess they didn't have anything I particularly care about anyway. Alright, so still think we activate. Get the butchers in here. Do they not realize that that kills their dude, or they just not care? Apparently they just don't care. Gotcha. Oh. And claim the Firstborn off the top. Not quite lethal, but it's a lot of damage. Why would you play a land before you bring back Uro? That seems incorrect. Don't think that's quite fast enough here. Mayhem Devil. Might have been incorrect sequencing. Maybe I'm not supposed to use Abrade on anything but Paradox Engine. Bring back Uro again if they want. Tanking on what they want to grab. With all the mana in the world here. Sure. Didn't leave yourself any blue mana seems completely pointless. Pretty sure we're not winning this game at this point, but, you know. What would even be our best draw at this point? I do remember Keenan has an ability, right? Just too far behind this game. Oh well, it was an interesting matchup at least. Alright, so other than that little snafu with Witch's Vengeance, I think got a pretty good idea of what this deck's capable of. Got to see a couple different matches on a black aggro. We got to see goblins. We got to see Paradox Engines. We could see some of the interesting things that are going on in the format, especially the Paradox Engine combo deck, which has started to pop up a little bit. See, that's the kind of combo deck that I don't necessarily mind. While it does take a bunch of motions and stuff, it's a deck that generally, if you can keep its mana dorks and such under control, can't really get rolling until turn 4, turn 5. It's not like Neoform or Muxus where you can just like generally die on turn 3, even with interaction. So, as far as this deck, that's the one thing in Magic with a small game set. It's really kind of hard to get a feel for stuff. We did have a lot of mulligans due to mana, lack of mana, lack of the right colored mana. That's one of the dangers of, the mana bases in a format like Historic is some of your stuff does come into play tapped a lot. You have 4 Dragonskull Summit, 2 Castle Locthwain, and Fabled Passage, all of which can be ETB tap lands. Obviously Canyon Slough can be as well. Some of it was just not having enough lands, which is kind of weird considering we're running, 24, 24, 10, 13... 17, 18, 22, 24 lands. A deck that stops at 3 theoretically should be enough. Especially since we didn't have any Angrath or Sky Sovereign kind of hands, where we're boarding in these cards and it's a little bit of a longer game. So a lot of these value lands, they aren't free. Phyrexian Tower does only tap for colorless without a creature to sack. Castle Locthwain does come into play tapped some amount of the time. As far as the other bit of tech of the deck, whether these two should be flipped, it's kind of hard to say. I don't even think we had Midnight Reaper that many times in this set of games. Scrapheap Scrounger was pretty nice in a lot of spots. Obviously the rest of the deck's kind of tried and true. Dreadhorde Butcher, shout out to this guy, gave us a lot of hope in a lot of matchups where we might have had struggles otherwise. And then beyond that, Jegantha's fine, and then we did learn the little trick with Witch's Vengeance that you actually have to click your companion out to be able to play the double black spells because of the way Jegantha is worded. I'm a little bit more used to MTGO's interface in that regard, but that's a good thing to learn. So, you live, you learn. Learning the format and the best of 3 variety, as well as learning some of the sideboarding things that maybe you don't see in best of 1. Learning the interface a little bit better. We all learn little things here and there, and it's whether we can improve on those that determines if we can do better or better. So, anyways, this has been John for MTG Nexus with our guide through walking through and learning some of the historic content.